today we have a very special guest on. We have Valerie Beaulieu, who is a certified athletic therapist and a body-mind coach. She's from Carleton Place, which is I'm going to say still my hometown because we still have so many roots there. And she has worked with me during my shoulder rehab that I had about 10 years ago. And my whole family, both daughters and my wife, are her clients. And she's just done such a great job and such as a vast experience of working with people. And she's just made a new shift into the body-mind coaching. And I wanted to bring her on because, again, she has a lot of experience working with different people of all ages and different backgrounds. And she's been able to help people get better in other forms of health that aren't just nutrition and strength and conditioning, but in terms of health, in terms of pain management, but also moving now towards body-mind coaching. Val, I'm going to let you kind of give us your background and your bio.
Yeah, thank you, Harry. I'm so excited to be here. I've been a certified athletic therapist for 17 years now, and I have a ton of experience working with the general public, from kids to elderly and even Olympians, high performance athletes. And as an athletic therapist, we treat any orthopedic injuries. So anything that's related to bone, muscles, ligaments. Doesn't have to be sports related or athletic related, but that is definitely our specialty. And I've owned a Proactive Athletic Therapy, which is the only athletic therapy clinic in Lanark County, actually. We're very proud to say that. For 10 years. And I have a great team of athletic therapists working with me. And in the last year, I've actually did a big shift in my profession, to be honest. And it kind of went about through my personal story, but I'm now really specializing with chronic pain. And I became a certified life coach. So I specialize in mind body coaching, helping people resolve their chronic pain using a mind body approach. So very different than athletic therapy.
Tell us how you got into making the transition from being a certified athletic therapist into a body-mind coach. How did that happen? So tell us the story of how that happened.
Yes. I actually, about quite a few, I would say maybe 6 years ago, I went through some very difficult circumstances in my life that were very difficult emotionally to go through. And I then started to experience some significant migraines for me, wicked tension headaches and migraines, and as well as neck pain and IBS symptoms. And I went through the conventional route, like most of us do, had some MRIs of my brain, all kinds of blood work and tests. I even removed wheat and dairy and eggs out of my diet because we assumed that could be the culprit of it. And things were just not, it improved a little bit, but things were not fixed. I was still struggling with it. And I discovered life coaching through a podcast. I'm an avid podcast listener and reader. And I was like, wow, this is amazing, because I realized I can actually create the life I desire and how I feel by just paying attention to my thinking, because my thinking is what causes my emotions, and that's what fuels all of my actions in my life. And I just dove right into this, and I decided to get certified as a life coach. It was about a 9-month process, and I loved it. And then I discovered mind body medicine, and that really did a complete shift in my mindset as a professional, because it was the missing link that I had been struggling for years as an athletic therapist, treating people with chronic pain. Is I couldn't figure out why, no matter what exercises or stretches we would give them, when it was chronic pain, the pain would either stay or it would go away, but then always come back. And it wasn't, permanently fixed, let's say. I discovered through mind body medicine that 100% of chronic pain is so much influenced by our thinking and our emotions and our nervous system. And that was a huge shocker to me. And it was actually the light bulb, because this is why it didn't work. So I decided to do a shift, and I dove into a bunch of studying the work of mind body pioneers like Dr. Howard Schubiner, Dr. Alan Gordon, Dr. John Sarno. These are all doctors that are really specialists in mind body medicine, and I understood what it was about. And ever since now, I've been solely working with chronic pain clients, and it's been life-changing. The results that they're getting is pretty profound. And I was able to heal my chronic migraines, my tension headaches, and my issues using that approach as well.
Gotcha. So you had a personal experience. So you became a certified athletic therapist. Then after working with thousands of people, you realized that there was something more to what was not the missing link, as we say. And then you went through your personal experience. And then you started to realize that your mindset will be there. When you're working with these chronic pain clients that you've seen in the past, what are some of the mindset blocks that they have, right? So I'm sure that in the way that you coach them, you try to block them through that. Give us an example of what you mean by something that would affect their mindset, that would affect their healing.
Right. Well, the biggest thing that is so important to understand when it comes to pain is understanding how and where is pain produced. Most people actually believe that pain, the sensation of pain, is produced in the body, but it's actually produced in the brain. So the brain will send you real pain sensation in your body based on what it senses from your nervous system. And the nervous system is really what encompasses our thinking, our mindset, our beliefs, and our reactions. When I work with chronic pain clients, the first thing we need to know is uncover some limiting beliefs and stories that they might have about their bodies, about their injuries, about their conditions. And the most common thing is when people get, let's say, for example, they have chronic low back pain, they get an X-ray, an MRI, and it shows that they have a herniated disc or spinal stenosis. Well, often, and again, this is an older way of thinking, for years we believe, well, that's what's causing pain. And it's not, because there's so many people with structural abnormalities in their bodies that experience zero pain. It's educating my clients first that even though like the pain that they're feeling is real, it's not in their head, they're not making it up, it's real, but it's not caused by their low back structure. We need to first uncover what are they believing about their bodies. For example, well, because I have a herniated disc now, I'm going to be experience back pain for the rest of my life. Or if, let's say, you're doing sports or activities, if you do a deadlift, for example, as for strengthening, and if some people believe it's bad for you, it could be bad for your back. Just having a belief like that can hinder you. So it's mindset awareness, discovering what's the story are you telling yourself, or do you think it's true?
Now let's also preface this. That person has already gone through the surgery. They've gone through the healing process with you. They've done rehab. They've done everything. And now we're talking 2 or 3 years later that they still have this mindset, right? Because I think that we have to preface that because some people will skip over this and just say, oh, well, I could have pain. Well, yes, you could still have the injury. You still have to go through the regular modalities of healing. But then what you're trying to do is change the mindset. And I'll tell you a personal experience of this with me is I did my shoulder rehab with you. And I was working out with an Olympian named Clark Flynn at his gym in Brockville. And I was doing chin-ups and I'm like, chin-ups just kind of bother my shoulder a little bit. He took me, grabbed me by the collar and said, did you have surgery? Yes, it's fixed. Say it with me. It's fixed. It's better. It's fine. You don't have anything to worry about. Let's go. I think for that month, I had the best workouts of my life because he just took me by the collar and it just startled me, but he just trained my brain differently. It gets over. It's fixed. So I think there is something to be said about that. My personal experience with that. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's good. And that's so good that you brought that up because this is another thing that people don't know. When it comes to an injury, or like you said, whether it's surgery or you sprain an ankle or an actual injury, even a concussion, for example, pain science and neuroscience actually have demonstrated that any tissue damage heals within 3 months. And believe it or not, chronic, so neuroplastic pain, which is pain produced in that brain, in your brain from misinterpretation, can develop as early as 4 months after. We thought it was years, but it's changed. It's amazing how things with science has really changed. And so I will have clients that, for example, they had an accident happen and then we're 6 months in and they're still experiencing pain. Well, it's the acute pain, everything's healed, like you said, it is healed, but they have a form of emotional reaction, and fear, the emotion of fear is actually the emotion that will perpetuate pain. And that can come across as worry, anxiety, fear of pain coming back. It's so fascinating. But yes, you're absolutely right. It is all about how we react towards what experiences we have and what we're making it mean about us.
And so you said a word there that I hear a lot. What is neuroplasticity?
Yes, great question. So neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to reorganize all the neural pathways of the brain. For the longest time, scientists believed that when you are done growing from childhood, teenagers, that's the time where we're really learning habits and things. And then we believed at the time that once you reach adulthood, well, then that's it. Who you are is who you are. You can't change. Well, it's quite the opposite. So the brain is so neuroplastic that you can change completely someone's way of thinking, completely their habits, their behaviors, right? That's what neuroplasticity is. And when we say neuroplastic pain, pain is a learned neural pathway. Once you're past the acute stage, if your brain will sense signals from your emotions and your nervous system, then it will interpret it as danger. And so it can learn about a pathway thinking you're constantly in danger, and hence you're feeling pain all the time. So that neuroplasticity can be changed by rewiring your brain as simply as like what you experience. Sometimes we just, when you get like this ha-ha moment, it's like a thought, a belief, you're like, oh, I guess I don't really have to believe this anymore. It's not true, right?
So it's almost like you have to change the operating system, right? So like
Yes.
you're really trying to help a client saying, hey, I understand what you've been through, but just realize that yesterday was yesterday, tomorrow doesn't, or the next minute doesn't need to have that same mindset or frame around what can happen in the future. Right?
Absolutely. And then there's things we hear growing up. Sometimes some people might say, oh yeah, well, there's low back pain or conditions that's in my family. All of a sudden we have this belief that it's genetics.
Yes.
And then so you're going to be prone to having knee problems, back pain, whatever. And again, is that belief really true? No, it's not, right? So it's to kind of bring that perspective for you, for yourself.
And when we see that a lot, even in the nutrition world, right? Is we see people saying, oh, well, my mom had a bad gut, so I'm going to have a bad gut. Well, yeah, if you eat the same food as her, maybe if we don't find out what works for you, it's going to be in that. Or, oh, my whole family's been overweight. Okay, well, we can look at those things and say, what are some habits they did do? Maybe we could go in the opposite direction of some of those habits. When you start to work with this client, you get someone coming in and they've been in pain. And what is a tool that, so we're going to have somebody listening in here who has said, I've had a concussion 5 years ago and I still have some type of post-concussion syndrome, right? And what would be one thing that that person could do today that could help change their mindset? Is it a book? Is it journaling? What is it, that one action that isn't going to change their whole day, right? What is that one thing they could do?
That is such a good question. The biggest thing, honestly, is awareness of their own thinking and their beliefs around the concussion. So when you use that, for example, is first of all, what do they believe to be true? What's their story around concussions, right? Some people might say, well, I believe, because I heard that it can take a long time to recover. Or the way I got a concussion was so scary and frightful, I still experience that fear now. Or sometimes I'm so frustrating that it's not going away, and you're desperate and you're constantly trying to fix it. Just that behavior can actually perpetuate pain. The first thing is, and journaling is a great way of showing to you what's going on in your brain, because a lot of people, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thinking. And 90% of them are subconscious. So journaling is a great tool, strategy to use, because you put it on paper and just kind of write down, what are your beliefs around your concussion and what happened, right? Around that story. What story are you telling you? So awareness of your thinking is really the first step, because you can't change unless you're aware, right?
You have to be ready, and you have to be ready for that.
And you have to
right?
be ready. Exactly. Exactly.
And so then what would be, when they start writing it down, what's the preferred version that you've seen the most success? So let's also reverse backwards here. So I say writing it down, but in your experience, obviously you've worked with some people now and you've been seeing this shift. And what is one of the tools that you've seen commonly work the best? Is it writing? Is it talking? Is it being around, changing your friends? What is one thing that you have seen really give some people the return on investment to change their mindset?
It's a good question. Everybody's different. For someone that's never journaled, they might not know exactly how to go about it. And they might just think, oh my gosh, I'm writing about a diary about my day, going to the bathroom. Well, it's not that. That can be sometimes overwhelming. I find, honestly, asking yourself, so it can be journaling, it could be listening to podcasts about this, reading books, right? It's just a kind of educating yourself. But asking yourself, what I'm experiencing right now, as simple as this question, what am I believing about this? What do I think it's true? And when you answer this question, you write it down, then you look at your answer and you say, okay, well, is this really true? And what I mean by that is look around with other people you might know that have experienced similar injuries as you. And then has their recovery been the exact same as yours? If you know it's a no, then you know it's not true, because everybody recovers differently. So that like I said, the emotion and the drive and the reasoning behind it is so different per individual. Does that make
Gotcha.
sense? Yeah.
It really comes down to awareness. Who are you? Are you a
100%.
talker? Are you a writer? Are you a peer group person? Or are you a person who says, I don't want to go on this journey by myself. I want to hire somebody right from the get-go.
Right. And sometimes when you're around people, I mean, there's great benefits, of course, to talking to people and friends and family. But again, you got to keep in mind, they all have their own beliefs. When someone's super passionate about it and they share with you, oh, but I experienced this, so I know this works. You must try this. Adopting their beliefs might not serve you as well. I always go back to ask yourself what you in your heart truly believe is true. And then does it serve you in life? Is this way of thinking helping you in life to grow, to move forward?
And in terms of like a time commitment, where would you say someone should start? Like, in nutrition, people always say to me, oh, I'm going to do a diet for 30 days. I'm like, I would probably say how many decades you've been on the earth, right? So if you're 40, you would need to want to commit to something at 4 months bare minimum, right? Do you have some type of protocol? I guess I want to make sure that people understand this is not a quick fix, right? Like from a person who has gone through a shoulder surgery and I've gone through post-concussion syndrome twice, it's not an easy fix, but it takes time, but there's improvement. If someone was, let's say, 3 to 5 years with chronic pain, I'm sure you could probably tell us a client that you have, right? 3 to 5 years of chronic pain, they're over 50, let's say over 45. What would be a good time frame to say, hey, start doing this for about 3 months, 6 months, and then from there, if you don't see improvement, maybe go work with somebody, right? Because we're going to get people who say, I don't want to work with it. I'm not comfortable, because this is a very uncomfortable topic, right? You're changing someone's identity of, they might tell everybody, oh, that person has a back injury, and change their life.
Right. The program I offer is 6 months because it is, I call it a transformation. But then again, I have had clients that within 2 weeks, they were pain-free. And the only thing I can honestly say that will completely determine your recovery process is your openness to believing new things. That is really where the impact will be. If you are so true to your story and you truly believe that your rotator cuff tendonitis or your herniated disc is truly what's causing pain, then it might take a really long time. Being open-minded is really the indication of how fast you're going to recover. The more open-minded you are to believing and understanding a new concept, because this is such a different way of thinking when it comes to our medical system is not built for this. Our conventional medical system has been for years training us and health professionals and our patients to believe that when there's something going on physically in your body, it is a structural biomechanical problem. That's the shift you have to make, that it is not when it's chronic. It is all mindset and emotion. And sometimes it can be hard to understand and to grasp and to swallow.
I think there's definitely a mind, body, spirit connection that a lot of people are starting to get into, but there's still that, well, this is what the doctor said. This is the mechanic of my body. This is the way it is, and it's going to be painful. But I think there's other coping mechanisms and strategies that we can start to look at, because obviously people are looking for alternatives because they don't want to be told, I can't do this forever. I had a feeling you were going to say 3 to 6 months, because that's where I would see the same mindset shift I see in food, right? Is that we have a lot of term belief around certain foods as well. And so I was going to say 3 to 6 months, probably a good place to start. Now, in terms of health wise, what are some things that you do Now, usually I ask people, what are 3 things they do for their health every day that's non-negotiable? But I want to change this around. What are 3 things you do? Because you've gone through your own journey of, you said you went through instances. So I'm going to say you've had kids, you've had a business. So that means up and down, you know what I mean? And then you went through your personal, then you went through this life-changing moment. I want to ask you, what are 3 things you do to protect your mindset every day? What is it that you do? Because I feel like that to me is where I want to get out of you. Because if I can take some of that to my day, if you're the pro who has done all the research and is now helping people, you've got 3 things that I guarantee you that if every single one of us, we did it. But I don't want to know what you would give somebody else. I want to know what you do to protect your mindset.
Well, I like when you said the 3 non-negotiable, because that's exactly what I have told myself, and I tell my clients that I do every single day, and it has been non-negotiable for the last year and a half, and it's completely changed my life. I have built a morning routine. I call it my me time, my miracle morning time, and it's my awareness, mindfulness time. It is so crucial, especially in our busy society. It's not only to protect my health, but it's to improve my health, improve my emotional well-being and my mindset. I take always up to 20 minutes where I do some meditation. There's different types. I've started with guided ones. It was very helpful because it can be sometimes challenging if you're not used to being in this still moment and not move or think. And I journal. That is now my new best friend because it brings me so much awareness. And I move my body. So whether it is yoga, Pilates, strength training, my Peloton spin bike, it doesn't matter. I move. Those are my 3 things. It has been non-negotiable, and it could completely change my life. And it's to a point where when I feel a sensation in my body, whether it's pain or tightness or numbness or whatever it is, instead of my old self where I'd be like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. I'm like, okay, what is going on right now? What am I feeling? And 100% of the time, it's a stress emotion, whether it is worry, about the future, worry about something, stress, frustration. It's emotionally based. So it completely keeps me calm, and I feel empowered and completely in control of my health. So when I'm aware of what's going on, then I actually will give myself, I don't find it externally, I give it to myself, whatever I need, whether it's self-compassion, self-acceptance, self-love, whatever it is, I give it to myself and I work through that, and it completely changes everything.
And that's a hard thing to do because you're a mom, a business owner, team leader, and you're out there in the net, like you're trying to compete with your business. Right. So, you wear these different hats, and I feel like that is something that a lot of mothers need to hear more about. But the only thing is, I want to reverse a bit. What time frame are you looking at when you do that morning routine? Did it start what is it, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 90 minutes? Where is that time frame that you have set that non-negotiable morning routine?
It is always first thing when I get up. I actually, on top of it, have a blended family. So I have 4 daughters at home.
Oh my God.
I know. From age 7 to 16.
Oh my God. I'm sweating. I'm sweating just thinking about that because I have 2 and I love them every minute of the day, but I don't know if they're going to wake up in a good mood or a great mood. And 4 of them. Holy cow. I just had an andropause attack of like a hot flash just thinking about that. So.
Well, this is why when I get up first thing in the morning, and I purposely make sure I get up early enough, and that is now my favorite time of day when the whole house is quiet. I grab my cup of coffee. I always start with my cup of coffee, my journal, and I will either give myself 10 minutes to write, and then I will do 10 to 15 minutes of the meditation. I have my office and I find a space usually where I know I won't get disturbed, and then I do my workout. And when I'm done, then I'm feeling completely ready to help everybody else in the house. It is so crucial.
So what you're saying is you breathe and be alone with yourself. You let out all of your external emotions on a piece of paper, and then you take out your energy and your workout. Right?
Yes.
So that's great. But I think one thing I just want to let viewers know is that you don't need to do that all at once as well.
No.
It could be, I tell people sometimes what I'll do is I will just go for a walk and put on a meditation, and it's a 10-minute walk, and there I got 2 things done at once. Then when I'm working out, I have a journal there with me, and I'll write some thoughts down as I'm working out, because don't be intimidated by the time and how it needs to be a morning routine. It could be a nighttime routine where you take a bath and you just listen to calming music and you breathe and you let go of your day. Or it could be just a
Absolutely.
sometimes I journal and I've only got I've only got a minute in me, and I'm like, today I'm just not feeling it, but I got these 2 or 3 sentences out about myself or what was happening in my day. I just had to let it out because I don't want to keep it in my body. So don't be intimidated by the time. I think that one thing Instagram says is like, oh, it's got to be an hour and a half perfect morning routine. It could be, hey, that morning you got to drive your daughter somewhere. It could be that you just sit in the car and say, you go in to your hockey practice. I'm going to sit out here and just breathe, have my cup of coffee, and then I'm going to come in. And then before bed, I'm going to write down in my journal. And that was all for the day, right? Don't feel like it needs to be perfect, but you can blend it into your day. And just, I think what Valerie's trying to get to us is it's okay to be conscious about yourself for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You cannot give if you are not ready. Right. And
That
I
is
think that's
so
right.
you're right on, and it's so true. I've developed that routine in the morning because that's what I prefer. But you're right. You have to figure out the time of day that works for you, whether on your works or your kid, it doesn't really matter. But if you can take as little as 10-15 minutes for you to reflect and to be aware and to tune into your body with what's going on, because you said something there, your emotions. What people don't realize is our emotions, they're in our bodies. Emotions is energy in motion in your body. So it's vibrations in your body, and they are expressed through pain. So when you have emotions that are negative and that are stagnant and they're just stuck in your body and they've never been released for years, it comes out through pain. That is what mind body medicine is, or pain science is. So taking that time every day to just reflect on that and feeling is so crucial. There's a book that your audience might like
I was just going to ask you, give us a book referral, because I followed this one doctor. I forget his name now. Oh, I'll get the name of the book, and I'll put in the show notes. But no, he talks a lot about how he's helped people with chronic pain start walking again. He has a bunch of meditations. I've done them with myself.
Joe Dispenza?
That's it. Joe Dispenza. So he's amazing, and
he is amazing.
I've read his books and I've done his meditation. I actually, when I used to skip, and during COVID, I got into skipping, and I would put his meditation on. And sometimes my wife would see me closing my eyes and she'd be like, you look like you were going to like go off the driveway, because I'd start in the garage. I'm like, oh, I just zoned out for like 3 minutes of skipping. And I just did his meditation off of YouTube because it was free. And I really enjoyed his book. What's the name of the book? It's a really good book.
Well, actually, I'm just looking. So there's one right now. It's Becoming Supernatural is one of them. Yeah, that I have.
Yeah, okay.
And it's so great because he actually explains the science behind meditation, and it shows how doing mindfulness completely changes your physiologic response and your biology in your body. Literally, it's fascinating. He's really good at explaining that. But the other book I'm just looking at, Dr. John Sarno is also a very good. He's one of the pioneers in mind body medicine. Yeah. But going back to the routine, there's a book, and that's why I was just going to look here. It's called The Miracle Morning. I'm just looking it up right now. I'll have to share with you the author. It's a very small book, and it's a great read to help you develop a routine throughout your day that incorporates the little things you want to do. And he breaks it down so nicely, and it's based on his true story. And it could be as simple as just take 10 minutes, let's say, of meditation, 10 minutes of journaling, 10 minutes. He breaks it down in small increments. So it's less overwhelming, because most people believe, like you said, if you want to exercise, you want to do yoga, you want to do everything, you think, oh my gosh, that's like half an hour to an hour each. That's too much. It doesn't work that way.
Even if you do one of those a day, right? Like today I'm going to do yoga. Tomorrow I'm going to breathe. Tomorrow I'm going to work out. Tomorrow I'm going to journal. It's taking 20 minutes for your health, and the next day could be food prep, right? It doesn't have to be everything all done in one day. It could just be, I'm going to food prep on Monday. Tuesday, I'm going to work out. Wednesday, I'm going to journal. Thursday, I'm going to do yoga. Friday, I'm going to do breathing. And you just start to see over a year, these patterns start to develop. And then you can also see what works best for you. And every day could be different, right? So, which is really cool to see. Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Sarno, Miracle Morning. Those are the
Miracle
three.
Morning. The author is Hal Elrod.
Okay. And I like the fact
Um,
that he's got his own story to go with it.
Yes, and then another one specifically for back pain, because I know low back pain is the most common. It's like it's an epidemic now.
Mhm.
It is Dr. Alan Gordon
Okay.
and Elon Zev. They have a book called Healing Your Back, Chronic Back, and
Awesome.
it is an easy read, fantastic read. You can all get those on Amazon.
Well, that was great. Valerie, how can everybody get a hold of you?
Yes, I do. I am on Instagram and Facebook. Valerie Mind Body Coach is how you can find me. Proactive Athletic Therapy also has a website with the chronic pain program is also listed on there. And then I can share with you my email. If anybody has any questions, they can. It's ValerieMindBodyCoach@gmail.com.
Well, there you have it, Valerie. The one thing I find inspiring about your story is you're a mom, you're a business owner, you have 4 kids, 4 daughters, but you're doing it, right? And I think that a lot of people lose hope when they feel like there's just layers of everything. They've got pain, they've got a family to manage, they've got work, they're just stressed out and they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it just goes to show that stories like yours are inspirations to other moms that, hey, we can take 5 minutes and today it's 5 minutes and in a year it might be 10, but you're going to move towards getting better. And that's the root of everything, right? So I love your story and I know why my kids love going to your office and Melissa loves it. They always just feel so much better because again, you're real and you're doing it. And I love hearing stories like that. So thank you for taking the time. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And I hope some people get a hold of you after the show.
Thank you so much, Harry. I appreciate it.
All right. Enjoy your day.